Hey everyone, and welcome to week 3. I want to just take a little bit of time to talk through last week's assignments and what we can look forward to in the upcoming week. As you can see, my cat is walking through our video, so he will be the source of our entertainment for this week. First and foremost, great work on week 2. I want to just clarify a couple things with the reading check quiz. So the reading check quiz, again, is really to gain a better understanding, to evaluate what you have comprehended in the textbook readings and the Bible Project videos. He's just going to be running around, so we'll just get to enjoy this. So as a whole, I think the reading check quizzes were a little bit below average in comparison to the first week. The first week, it really felt like answers were quite robust. You guys gave lots of detailed descriptions in your answers, and this week it felt a little bit more lacking as a whole. Now, I'm not saying we did a terrible job, but I did curve the week 2 reading check quizzes grades up as a whole by like 2 points because I didn't feel they were quite where they should be. So just as we go into week 3, we're looking for robust detail in our answers. Don't assume that I understand what you are talking about, even though I do understand what you're talking about, but it doesn't show comprehension in the best way when we are kind of generalizing things or just stating quick answers. For example, the Abraham question, which I realized was a repeat from the first reading check quiz that we had, but the Abraham question that talked about 3 promises. Okay, well, the promises are for a people, a nation, land, and a blessing. Well, yeah, those are the 3 promises, but what do those mean? And so a good full answer would describe all the different components of what that threefold promise means. Now, you don't need to cite scripture or anything like that, but you should be able to show that, like, okay, this is what it means by land. This is what the blessing means. This is what a people or a nation means. And an answer that's going to go way over the top would explain maybe some of the challenges that character, Abraham, and his wife, Sarah, experienced when receiving that promise. So, okay. We'll pivot away from reading check quizzes. As a whole, you guys are doing a great job. The discussion boards have been awesome. So keep up the good work. Keep interacting with one another. I'm just excited to see what you guys are going to be posting in the future. So great work. All right, I want to spend a little bit of time walking us through the final paper outline that is due this week. So this week we have kind of a standard week, and we have our final paper outline that's going to be due on Friday by 11:59 p.m. So the first thing that we have for your final paper outline, this is not your final paper. You do not need to, this is a 1-page, maybe 2-page outline. This is just so that you can have something to work off of, and I can get a better sense of an idea of what you're going to be doing for your final paper. So your final paper outline has just kind of like a 1, 2, 3, 4 quick checklist of things that you should be including. The first thing is that you're going to have one thesis question, not a statement. I know sometimes papers, and especially in different disciplines, might require a statement, but the way that we work here in biblical scholarship is that we have a question that we want to explore. So you'll pick one thesis question. There are thesis questions on the syllabus. I believe it's page 10. So if you're like, I have no idea what question I want to ask, well, there's a bunch of examples that you're welcome to use and base your entire paper off of. Now, you don't have to. If you would rather make up your own thesis question, by all means, go for it. I would encourage you to send me your thesis question if you're going to create your own. Second thing that we're going to do is, in order to answer our thesis question, we're going to create 2 subsidiary thesis questions. These are secondary, supplementary, whatever kind of word you want to use, but 2 questions that will aid in our ability to answer our thesis question. Now, a thesis question shouldn't be like a yes or no type of question or yes or no answer. It's one that you don't know the answer to, but you want to see how it unfolds. And so your 2 subsidiary questions, similarly, are not going to be yes or no questions. They're going to be questions that are going to need biblical stories or scripture to explore in order to answer. Now, an example, and I'm just going off the top of my head here, so I don't want to do examples too far because I'd be kind of be doing someone's paper for them in some capacity. But an example could be, how does the Bible explore the concept of divorce? And two subsidiary questions would maybe ask, like, how does the New Testament explore divorce? How does the Old Testament explore divorce? These are easy ways to, unpack how Scripture is talking about a topic or a theme in your question. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. You're going to have one main thesis question. You're going to have two subsidiary questions to support your thesis question. You need to, at this point in time in your outline, cite 3 academic sources. Now, there's always confusion with this every year about what an academic source is. I try to give us examples of those in our articles that we read for our small group discussion post. And I would encourage you to search the library catalog. You could type in your theme, like divorce in the Old Testament, and it should give you lots of journal articles or books, different things that you can consult. Now, you don't need to go read all these sources. You just need to say, hey, I found this source, and go ahead and put it in your bibliography in your outline. So again, you need 3 sources. You don't need to have read them. This is more of a checks and balance thing for me to make sure that you're able to find academic sources. Academic sources are not things that we find on the internet. So you can't just search divorce in the Bible in Google and use a website or a blog. These would not be academic sources. And I could get into a longer video about what constitutes an academic source and not. And if that would be helpful, I'm more than happy to create another optional video for us to talk about sources. But if you have any questions about it, go ahead and shoot me an email. I'm happy to answer or create something a little bit more substantial for us. But as a whole, academic sources are things that you're going to find in our library catalog or in the library itself if you live close to campus or on campus. All right, and last but not least, your outline should indicate 4 biblical narratives or portions of Scripture in which you plan to use. Now, you don't have to use these, but you plan to use for your paper. I'm not going to mark you down if you don't use these in your final paper, but this at least shows me what exactly you're kind of looking at this point, and I might give you some feedback and say, hey, maybe check out this story, maybe check out this portion of Scripture in the New Testament that we haven't gotten to yet. Ultimately, I want to help you feel like you have all the tools you need to do your paper. So the more questions, the more things you write, the more substance you give in the outline, the more I'm going to interact and give feedback for you. And hopefully that's helpful. If you have any questions about the outline, please shoot me an email. I'm more than happy if you're feeling stuck or I just don't know where to go with this, or I don't know exactly what examples. I'm happy to brainstorm and send you some ideas. Just as a heads up, this week I will be at academic conferences, so my response time to emails might be a little bit slower than normal. I will give everyone substantial feedback on your paper outline. And hopefully that will get a good conversation going, in at least in your head, about what the final paper will look like. But that is all I've got for this week. I know this video has been a little bit longer, but if there's any questions, anything I can do to give you a heads up or help you out throughout the rest of this week. Oh, my video camera. Thank you. Please just let me know. More than happy to help. Otherwise, I will see you guys on Canvas. Can't wait to see what your papers turn out to be. Cheers.